Hello, welcome to my new player guide series that I'm doing for 0.7 because it's a stable version and things will not change that much. Things have changed a lot since the release of the game. Let me just say that the way you do trading in the beginning of the game is vastly different from how you do it in the end game. So let's start with some of the basics for trading. So you will go to a station and you'll see that the station wants, let's say, light bulbs or whatever those things are. You see that you have some light bulbs and you give them the light bulbs, right? I have a lot of stuff. It's sometimes hard to do it. So let's say you get 600 points. So what does that mean? Well, you get 600 trading points, and the only way to see what that means is to go to the specific faction. So what can you get for 600 points? Well, not much. So a value of 600 points will give you the lower tier items. So for example, you can get a common item chip, you can get a basic item chip, but most of the time you'll just get some of their junk items like this. So in order to maximize your chances of getting the thing you want, let's go over here to Grasshopper Technology. You need to do trades with them during certain periods of their evolution. So these guys have a technology score of 2.7, so you really want to trade with them. So go to station and see what they want. They don't have a lot of stations left, but in the beginning of the game it will be easier for you to trade with them. So how does this work? Well, in my opinion, to get an item you want, you need at least above 50% chance. So what does that mean? So in order to get the 100 points item, you need to spend about 300 points at least. Why? Because the percentage will go above 50%, so that means you will always are, well, not guaranteed, but you have a very high chance of getting a basic item chip every 300 trading points. Sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. And that means if you trade in bulk with them, let's say you give them 3000 points worth of trading material, that means you'll get a lot of chips, which is great. And you also have you basically have a 25% chance to get one of these chips, and some of them will be very useful for the endgame upgrades or the endgame clone upgrades. Which is amazing. The helper also helps, but as you can see, it's 300 points. So this is the basic of trading, and I think people are kind of familiarized with this, but keep in mind that there are a lot of things that help with trading. So for example, the tunnel rats. The tunnel rats will help a lot with trading because you can get more items out of each dead person or dead demon. There will also be moments when the factions will grow in technology and they will give you a much better item, or like I said, endgame faction chips and endgame high-tech chips. And also certain missions will give you a lot more items for upgrading of your ship, for the upgrade of your ship. The sabotage missions are the ones that will give you a lot of crazy good items no matter how you view it. So the developers made a few mistakes because all missions should give specific items or something, but yeah, the sabotage missions will have the yellow danger crates that will have a lot of great items. Usually they are placed near the objective you have to destroy, which is great. Now, why did I say that the early game trading is vastly different from the end game? Well, because of the ship upgrade system. So this is kind of like a reminder of how the game works right now. In the end game, you also will unlock recycling, and recycling not only recycle stuff in your ship. We have a recycling tab now. Not only does it recycle things, it also increases their value in a way, if that makes sense. So let me show you. Assembly time, and then you have over here +1 resources. So that means you'll get +1 resource out of the total available ones. And then you also have one for giving you another resource, and then you also have extra resources, which I'm not sure what it means. It might give you different resources than you normally would get, but usually it means you get the same stuff. So how does that work? Because it's a very weird system. Well, I think this can be much better explained through the crates of water. Let me see if I have a crate of water around here. Oh, maybe here. When you dismantle something, you have a chance of getting a certain number of items. Yeah, so do this for the water container if you want. So when you disassemble the water container, sometimes you'll get 1 bottle, sometimes you'll get 2, sometimes you'll get 3, sometimes you'll even get 4, let's say. As you can see, it's clearly 6 bottles in the container, but because of the way disassemble works, you'll get a lot less than that. So if you improve the recycling, you will have a much bigger chance of getting the max amount of items you can get. Plus, I think there was a bug where the extra resources meant you got some really crazy resources, but that was patched out. So in the endgame, you'll basically disassemble everything on your ship, everything that you want to trade, and then you'll send a shuttle to trade. Why do you want to send a shuttle? Don't you want to just go there and do it yourself? No, because it's the same thing. Shipment value plus 1 point. Shipment value plus 1 point, so you can still get more points for the items you send there to trade. It's not so hard to send a trading ship because, let me see, the map, Mercury. You will just send over here the trade shuttle and it will trade all of the items for with the station that offers the best prices. This is a little bit weird because sometimes you'll make a big mistake, but usually it's going to work out just okay. So for example, over here, you'll send the chemical processors, whatever they call the third item, that is 1000 points, and the ship will automatically trade those items with the flat obsidian camp. If you send something else, it will trade it to where it can trade it at the highest price. And then it will return with items. So that's the basic way to do the trading in the endgame. So what are the items you should be looking out for? Well, first of all, there's the stock exchange that will help you a lot as well. So over here you see the items that are the most expensive. This is of course in order of the price. Some items will seem that they're very, very bad and they're not worth keeping. No. Every item that looks high-tech you should always keep because this is a trap. The developers should have explained this a lot better. For example, the combat AI you can actually use in combat, you need to deploy a robot that fights for you. But even though you'll see, let's say, you might think, well, this is very cheap, it's dirt cheap, I don't want it. It's not going to work like that. Let me show you. I guess you need to go into the mission interface. Percy. So some of these items will seem like they're very cheap, right? If you disassemble them, you get a transformer and a cable. And then you'll think, well, what's the deal with that? Well, it's a big deal. Because you can look at over here, how much does the transformer give you? See, you can select the item and it will tell you what are the best prices, the consumers. 320 points, oh. And also the transformer is 4 points, so that's 324 points. Oh, okay, so that means that the item will cost a lot more. Meaning you can trade it for a much better price, right? Exactly, so even the item itself is 1, you can sell it for 1, which is a silly thing to do. You can sell the cable or the wire, I think it's called the wire, for 320 points, and plus the other one with 4 points. So some items you have to disassemble, but some items you'll just have to keep as they are. Also, some crates, basically keep all of the crates, that's the main idea of the game. Don't sell any of the crates until you know how to play the game at a proper level. Even the food containers can be useful because you're just going to get a lot of food that you can use in missions. Alcohol packages, super valuable as well because you can take them as they're in the mission, but you can also disassemble them over here once you have the ship upgrades to get a lot more out of them. And also you need stuff for the upgrades, so I guess there's no easy way around it. You'll just have to look at all of the upgrades and see what they need. But in the beginning you shouldn't really be selling much unless you know it's really good for you to trade. I cannot see what items it requires for the upgrades because I already have them. But you should be familiar with all of the items you need to upgrade stuff. Just spend 30 minutes looking at everything. So yeah, you have over here the amount of trading you can do. Even though it says 800 over here, that's kind of like the general value. Sometimes it will be a lot higher, sometimes it will be even below that. That's 803, so that's more like the minimal value from what I understand. And let's say you have a few of these things, you can just send the trade shuttle over there and you can get a lot of trading out of them done. 1100, so that means that's kind of like the minimum. But look at over here on Earth, you can sell these crates, the robot parts and the military parts usually are the most expensive ones, for 1500 points, which is a massive amount of points. I cannot say how much that is. If you have 10 crates of these, you'll have 15,000 points to trade immediately, which is great. But there are also a lot of things you might not know. And what items should you focus on collecting? Well, first of all, the wire, of course. But I have already a lot of collection for these items. Let me show you. You basically have some items that will always be tradable at a very high price. the high-tech stuff, the microchips are worth keeping. Then the lamps are actually super expensive as well, so they're worth keeping a lot of them. Of course, all of the high-tech stuff like the communication modules, the various tablets that will be used for upgrades, the Pain Wine game again, they will give you electronics if you disassemble them, so just keep them. Even the lens will sell for a nice amount of money. You know how to do it. The memory records, again, they'll disassemble into something nice. So keep everything you have on your ship, and then sometimes you disassemble them, sometimes you don't. Yeah, let's do another example so people understand it a little better. They have a lot of darknet, a lot of military unit communication tablets, right? Right. Let me see if I can find them in the trade menu. Military units. So yeah, as you can see, they cost 2 to trade, 2 points. So I think they're totally useless. No, they're not. No, don't judge. On over here and we disassemble it. So as you can see, you get a printed circuit board and a lens. Now, the lenses are not worth a lot of money or a lot of points. But you can also just stockpile them very, very easy. So 25 is the minimum, but it's 40 over there, 40 over there, 40, yeah. So keep in mind that some items you can stock very easily just by disassembling the enemy's equipment, like their guns, their armors, other items as well. So 40. So that's a lot of money still that you can make. So don't trade the basic items. I mean, it's going to be very hard no matter how you look at things. So you have to be careful on how you do the trading in the beginning of the game and the end of the game. Some items are worth basically nothing, but they are super important as well. I think this is the case for the armor crates. You can trade for basically nothing. The drugs packages, which again is trading for nothing. And the weapons ones. So let's disassemble some of them so we can see how it is. Oh, I really wish we had a way to just open the inventory of your operator and the cargo hold. So the drugs. Don't say that out loud. The weapon. And the armor containers. As you can see, some of these items will be fairly common to be found and they're not really worth, you know. Ah, wait, what happened to my items? What? Okay, game. Again, you should disassemble the crates in the disassemble tab. Don't do it in your inventory, because you'll waste resources. That's so weird. Usually get items out of those. I guess it put everything in my inventory. Anyway. You get some items. Sometimes it's something you can use, like the glory jacket. Sometimes it's complete trash. So you could basically calculate how much you need of these and how your profit would be just by looking at stuff like this. So some items are just better used like that. And there's also, well, I was skipping this for the last part of the video because some people might not remember this, and also I want to make it very, very clear. The current best way to trade in the game is not to gather those fancy crates or disassemble them or just sell a lot of the wires, a lot of lenses, a lot of lamps. The best way to trade currently in the game is through free items specifically. Meaning there are items you should always pick up in a mission. You should always pick up the helper backpack. You should always pick up the morphine. And you should always pick up another item, but I keep forgetting what it is. But you know, usually it's the helper and the morphine because you can also craft the morphine using the poppy. And the helper backpack is usually found on the workers, which you can find them all the time, everywhere, anywhere. Let me see if I can remember what the other item is. Well, I guess the other item, to be honest, is going to be the lamps, if I think about it a little better. The lamps seem to give you the most amount of trading points. That is basically a basic item. Also the chemical as well, but something like this. These are the most valued items over here. You can also get the morphine from the drugs packages, and probably you can get the helpers from the armor crates as well, but I haven't opened a lot of them. I should probably do this, but this also takes time, and I'm not going to show you that. I'm just going to do the basic stuff a lot, because I can make these videos be 1 hour long and I'll still not be done with what I have to say. Same things go for stuff like this. You can also disassemble a lot of stuff. Also keep in mind that you will need some items to craft other items. So a lot of items will become a lot more valuable later. So for example, the spring, you always want to get the springs because most guns will need a spring. Most guns will need a cable. So as you can see, sometimes it's more expensive to craft a weapon, but if you disassemble it, keep the weapon in your backpack and disassemble it on your ship, you can get all of these items. So a flash M energy gun might not be worth anything if you disassemble it or if you want to sell it, but if you just keep it on your backpack and bring it to your ship, you might get one of each of these. Plus you can even get extra resources if you have the upgrade. So yeah, as you can see in the endgame, the energy weapons will be costing a lot of resources to craft, so you want the ceramic plates, the microchips, but they're fairly easy to get. But if you have a stockpile of them, it will be much easier to do. Oh, for the armors, it's more or less the same. Just know that the frame power armor, let's say, will need the capacitor and the wire. So as you can see, you need to stockpile some things like that. Now, let's continue. I guess I got a little bit sidetracked over there because you'll not be using the items just to trade, you'll also be using the items to craft stuff. So most of the trading will be done with the helper, the morphine and the lamp. How is that done? Well, simply put, you just have to wait until someone will have a... This is what I call a flash trade or something like that. Sometimes you will have very good trades with items that keep their prices. This is something I've been looking at all the time, but it's not very clear when or how you can do it because, for example, the helper backpack, from what I know, yeah, it doesn't show up over here. Nope, nothing here. Oh yeah, over here. Finally we found it. Okay, so as you can see, the helper backpack will always be 500. So you really want to make these trades. Because 500 points is a lot of points to get for a simple backpack that is so easy to find. Usually I can stockpile about 20 of them very easy. And 20 of them is 10,000 points, which is super easy to get and it's a fast trade. The same thing for the morphine. Sometimes you'll get the same thing for the pact. But the pact is a lot harder to get. Unless you're fighting one of the corporation with the churches, but it's still 500 from what I remember. And yeah, you should always be keeping your eyes out for flash deals like that, especially for the, I guess, the morphine and the helper backpack will be the most usual ones. Sometimes the wire, sometimes other ones, but there's no easy way around it. You'll just have to suffer a lot to get the endgame chips and also have a very, very good endgame where you follow all of the rules of trading that I mentioned and hope you'll get all of the upgrades for your ship so you can do the proper trading as well, like disassembling on the ship and then sending the shuttle to trade for extra points. I don't know, it seems like trading will mostly be done the way I said in the endgame, which is a bit disappointing because I was hoping you would get the bonuses another way, but I don't see another way to get them, so that's it. Have